Hey everyone, welcome to the lesson. So in the first lesson, we're going to start with something very simple to really get you going in the Python, and that is the most common first kind of line that programmers write, and something you see all the time if you have actually heard about programming a lot, and that is printing hello world. Essentially, the idea with this is to show you how you can actually show something or get computer to essentially show a text or something like that. So in Python, it is actually pretty simple, and it is going to be done with the print function. So by the way, we got the comment here, we talked about comments, but yeah, so the Python print function is essentially what you use to print anything or show anything, right? So the way this works is that you start with print, and you see it turns blue, because when there's something blue, that means it's a function, right? And then you open a parentheses, and obviously we got the code intelligence, so it's going to give us, suggestions and stuff like that. But when you open the parentheses, it actually makes a close parenthesis for you as well. I mean, this usually depends on the editor, but most of the times it does that. But if it doesn't, you can just add the parenthesis for yourself. But this is at its simplest form a print function. Again, the idea here is that this is going to print anything that is inside this parenthesis, right? So obviously this has a lot of uses, and we will talk about that later on in next lessons and next videos here as well. But we're going to start with something really simple. What we're going to do is we're going to start with print hello world, and the way you do this is you want to tell this function to print a text, and the way you do this is by adding a quotation mark, or two of them really, and adding the text between it, right? So this is going to be hello world. So just like that, you made this function, and it's going to display hello world. Now there's a lot to know about this. Let me just run this real quick. As you see, if you run it, it's going to just display hello world. Cool, right? So a couple of things you want to understand about this. The first thing is the concept of a string. Now in programming, there are a few types of data, all right, which you are going to be able to use. The first type, I'm just going to use it as a comment to explain it, is a string type. So a string is essentially a text, okay? This is essentially, whatever you see like as a text is going to be basically identified as a string. There are some other ones such as floats and integers and all that stuff, which we will talk about later on. I don't want to confuse you or overwhelm you with too much information, but anywhere that you see pure text is going to be a string. Now usually the way you display a string in Python is using this quotation mark, putting it inside a quotation mark like this, because that is going to tell the compiler that, hey, this area that you see is actually not code. This is a text. This is a string. Now think about it this way. If I actually take this out, if I take these quotation marks out, take a look, see what happens. If you take a look, this is not orange anymore. It is, white. And this is actually one of these things that you're going to see a lot, these subtle hints that the compiler gives you. Essentially tells you that, hey, what is this exactly? This doesn't make any sense. So you need to, if you want to display text, you need to make sure that you have it in quotation mark. If I do it like this, just delete that. If I do it like this, there we go. See? Now it is in the correct form. If I actually take this out real quick, for example, I'll take one of it, as see turns yellow or turns white, right? So it's not making any sense. If I run it, we're gonna get an error. It says invalid syntax, right? So this is basically the simple concept of printing hello world and printing a string. Again, it can be anything, right? It can be like, this is my first Python program or something like that. This is my first Python. Now we're going to expand on the print and a lot of other things in this section, but this is the first thing you're probably going to get yourself familiar with. So what I want you to do, okay, is to complete the next practice. That next practice is just going to ask you a few questions and ask you to print something. That's going to be actually in a on-platform coding practice. It's pretty simple, and also, or you can actually just you try this yourself, print something and just have some text in it, because what I want to do is I'm actually going to have a full practice video after that, which we will actually talk about a few like other things that you want to remember when you're typing strings and stuff like that, printing strings. But like, you know, this is just a start. I want you to use your Replit to just like, you know, print something and just try it out, run it, you know, just play with it, make mistakes, try to like, you know, play with these things and see like, you know, if you take this out, what happens, all that stuff. I see we get all these syntax errors. So I just want you to like, you know, get familiar with this stuff, and we're gonna move forward to the next lesson after that. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know if you have any questions. Make sure you do some practice, and we will do some practices as well in next videos as well. I'll see you in the next one, guys.